Alright, as much of a bad idea that I think this is like the introduction to my bass collection video. And what is it? It's going to be a series of videos that feature, the basses, the collection I put together since I think I started around April of 2015. I think I'm up 31 maybe or something like that, but I've got them spread out all around the house, so Lynn doesn't know the exact number. Anyway, the video I did with my mother, remember I mentioned, I've got, when I start writing stuff, it just gets out of control. I'm not sure which I dislike more, talking or writing. I'll try and keep it as brief as I can. So I remember every bass I've had since I started playing, and my first bass was the Fender Copy that was made by Cameo. It was short scale, and it was a pretty horrible bass. And basically, the reason I did the video was my mother, is because I wrote a lot of stuff about her, and how she was able to get me started and kind of keep me going and nurture me. In that video, when I mentioned the amplifier she bought me, I misspoke when I said it was a 10-inch speaker. It must have been an 8-inch speaker. And the guy said you shouldn't buy guitars or amplifiers from a record store. That's one of the first lessons I learned. But it sounded all right when I was in the store and in my bedroom. But the second I had to play with someone else, the thing just blew up. Not literally, it just sounded like it was gonna blow up. Anyway, so this stuff about my mom here, so saving a little time. I was trying to save a little time by doing that video. My second bass was a Fender Music Master, which was definitely a step up, but it never really felt like a big boy bass. I forget if they were short or medium scale, but it's definitely nice. It was nice white, with a black pick guard. That's one of the basses that I haven't gone back to buy, because they're like $700 or so. There's no way I'm paying that much money for a bass that originally cost 100 and 150. So not too long after that, I managed to, I don't know how, I begged, borrowed, and stole. I managed to snag my first Rickenbacker, and I think I got it. I knew Chris Squire played one, but I'd seen Geezer Butler play one somewhere. It must have been on like Don Kirshner's rock concert, and that was the reason I want one. Because I thought that's what Geezer played, was a Rickenbacker, and this is just before I kind of discovered Rush. So. There were some local guys, the big shots, who played Rickenbackers, and they were either black or the blue ones. So I was like, well, I don't want to copy anyone, so I got a Fireglow one, thinking, just so I didn't want to copy what anyone else was doing. But anyway, when I got it home, I realized that it went from red. Red, and it fades into maple. On its transition into maple, it kind of turned a little pink along the way. I wasn't crazy about that, and the most heartbreaking thing was I didn't sound anything like Chris Squire, and that was soul crushing. So it was uncomfortable to play, and I was still a really young player. So, but this is back in the day when you'd buy something at a music store, and you'd return it, a month later for half of what you paid for it, and then you'd pay the difference for the new bass you bought. So I brought that back to the store and came out with a black Fender Precision with a maple fretboard, and I think I got that because I'd seen a picture of Phil Lynott from Thin Lizzy. He had that black Precision with a mirrored pickguard. I just thought that was cool. And after that, I got a PVT-40, and that was at the point when I was really starting to be able to play a little bit. Oh, that's what I said. So after I played the T40 for a bit, I said, you know, I think I know what I was doing wrong with the Rickenbacker. So I went back and bought a used Rickenbacker. It was a fire engine red one. And I played that for quite a few years. Then, you know, sometimes you get to a point on an instrument where you've done everything you can do on it, you know, just, I don't know, just kind of hit the wall with that bass. So that's when I got the Ibanez Roadstar 2. And I got that because it looked like the Spectre bass that Sting was playing at the time. Similar body style, and this was white like his was. And I traded the Rick in for that, which is made a lot of bad choices. Where I much later on, I played that Ibanez for many years, for quite a long time. And then I got into Music Man, had a nice Music Man Sterling bass. Probably one of the few basses I regret selling. But I sold that because 5-string was becoming really popular. And I got a Music Man 5-string. And at that point, I was like, well, what do I need 2 basses for? You know, this video is going to take forever, I'm telling you. So, settle down. Settle in. So, yeah, so I'm like, well, I don't need 2 basses. So I sold the Sterling, which was a wonderful bass. And I just recently almost bought the identical one. It was Honeyburst. Then the Music Man, and then really the last one before I started my channel was that Maple Rickenbacker that I bought purely for nostalgic reasons. Never played it much before starting my channel. And now I mentioned this in the video with my mother, is the whole collection thing started with just pure nostalgia, buying that first PV bass that you know, I had when I was young. And as things progressed, I started acquiring more of the basses that I'd had in the past and that I liked. And then I just bought some of the basses that I'd always wanted to have and never could afford, never had access to. And then I, you know, just started buying some other stuff. So was it my midlife crisis? Perhaps, but at least it didn't involve like a convertible or a motorcycle or something like that. You know, I don't owe anyone, you know, any explanations or anything, but there's a couple things I'd like to say. Is once in a while I'll get a comment saying you must be rich, or do you work in a music store? But no, you know, anyone who watches the channel knows I drive a truck for a living. Lynn has a decent job. We're not, you know, we're not wealthy. I think what's more important is what we don't have is we don't have children, and you know, we never had a lot of debt. So we got a shit ton of cats. We're up to 7 cats now, but no kids. And you know, I know I'm, you know, kids are a big responsibility. And then I actually kind of went into here why I didn't want to have kids. It's hard. Sorry if I'm breathing into this. I don't know what it sounds like. So I can. What else I want to say? So, you know, I'm not a car guy. You know, the car I'm driving now is a 2000 Nissan Versa. I have, you know, the car before that was my first new car. It was a '93 Corolla wagon. I drove that till it didn't owe me anything. I think it had like 300,000 miles on it. I'm not a clothes guy. I'm not a jewelry guy. You know, I make my lunch every day. You know, basically you know, aside from basses and mass, you know, I'll buy a cup of coffee every day. That's about it. The basses are just what I choose to spend my money on. Was that all I? So anyway, I just wanted to say that. But from growing up the way I did, with very, you know, without a lot of things. I will say I learned how to take care of the things I do have. I take care of my stuff. Just from growing up that way, because if something broke back in the day, there wasn't like you were going to go out and buy another one or fix it. Now, I'm only doing these videos because over the years I've been asked many, many times, and I have been. I'm pretty much at the end of the collecting road. I've gotten almost everything. I've gotten my hands on almost everything I really wanted to. There's a few things I'm toying with, but I'm gonna start, getting rid of some of the stuff, some of the duplicates I have, and it's not because everything I have right now I really like. The couple of basses that I don't have anymore were ones that I really didn't care for, and there's only a handful of those. I may discuss that in a little bit. Big reason, I've got too many basses. I asked the guy who works in my basses what's the best way to store them, laying down, standing up on their side, and he basically said it's not so much how you store them. He said it's more important to take them out and play them once in a while and make any small adjustments or whatever small adjustments or small repairs at the time. He goes, if you just let something go and go, it may turn into something that's not repairable. He said the best thing you can do for an instrument is to play it and maintain it, and make the small adjustments when they can be made. And there's just got too many basses to do that with. I could definitely shrink things down quite a bit. So, and anything I do sell, I sell stuff. I'm always happy to take a loss. Any loss I take, I look at that's the price I paid for the enjoyment of playing the instrument. So I'm definitely not going to be making any money on anything I sell. So including this introduction, there should be around 10 or 11 videos, and I'm going to do it in sequence from when I got the first. But like the first bass will be probably my Music Man 5-string, because it is part of the collection. It's not one I bought, but it's one I had. And then I'm just going to go in the order that I got the basses in groups. So let's say the Guild fretless that I bought, that might have been the third or fourth bass I purchased when I started collecting. But when I do that, it's going to include all the Guild basses that I have, and that's so I think that's going to be the format. They're going to be the videos are going to be similar to the thing I did with the Bruce Thomas profile bass. Nothing too technical, just kind of my thoughts on them and what I like or maybe not like about them. Maybe I'll play a little bit in some of them, maybe not all. I kind of touched on this before. When I started my channel, I only had two basses. I had the Music Man 5-string and the Rickenbacker. And before that, there were only a couple occasions in my life where I had more than one bass. And I never felt the need to own more than one. I just wanted to have one bass. I could just pick it up, sit down, and do what I needed to do on it. And there's something that I read in an interview that Geddy Lee did in a magazine, where he talked about the concept of option anxiety, and it really kind of resonated with me. I believe he was talking about the frustration he felt toward keyboards at the time and all the possibilities of sounds that were available to him. And I'm paraphrasing, but it was he was kind of communicating the frustration he felt by spending all this time parsing out all these sound possibilities, and that actually kept him away from the actual act of playing. And that's kind of how I looked at having multiple basses around. You know, should I play this one, that one? Is it going to sound better on the, you know? I just always wanted to, you know, just sit down and get to work. Now, I feel a little differently. I like, you know, playing a variety of different, and there were also reasons why I became really married to one bass, you know, which I'll get into maybe at another time. But now I enjoy playing the different basses. You know, each one makes me play a little differently, and you know, you kind of have to play to the bass's strengths and weaknesses. Let me get a sip of coffee. All right, what do we got? All right, of all the basses I have, I put some decent play time on, and the whole collecting experience has been really positive. I bought a lot off of Reverb. Reverb was a lot better when they weren't collecting sales tax. Got one or two off eBay, one or two off the Facebook Marketplace. But overall, a really positive experience. I've only sent maybe two basses back. One was an Area Pro 2 that had half of one pickup was dead. One was another PVT-40 that it was set up so abysmally bad. I just, out of principle, sent it back. It was from a store too. It never should have left the store. It was I held on to it for a day or two, and actually set it up so it was nice just to practice on it. But I sent it back. It was horrible. I did get one bum Guild bass off of eBay, but it was one of those things. I knew it was too good to be true, and took a shot and got burned on that. But you know, if it sounds too good to be true, it usually is. So, you know, don't fall for it. Well, do I want to talk about the basses I don't have anymore? This I hate to think how long this thing's going on for. Well, the basses I got rid of was, I got that G3 grabber. I got that because you know, when I started out, I wanted the bass that Gene Simmons played, and that was it. When I was researching the grabbers, a lot of the people were saying that the 3 pickup G3 grabber was more versatile. What Gene Simmons played, the single pick sliding pickup version. I went for the 3 pickup version, and I'd have been probably happier with the single pickup version. It kind of had like this quacky, kind of high mid frequency center, and it was a really cool bass. But I found myself having to work a lot to get a sound that I was happy with out of it. And you know, that's something my favorite bass is the ones I can just plug in and start playing. What else? Geez, there's a lot of stuff there I don't have to say. The Ovation Magnum 3, I sold that off. That was a really cool bass. I got it because that's what Ross Valerie was actually playing on the Escape album. But he was playing an Ovation either a 2 or a 4, which is the one that had the graphic EQ. I'm not sure if it was active or not. But the bass I had sounded nothing like him. It was a mean sounding bass. It was pretty cool. I did, you know, a couple of Sabbath songs and some stuff, but it was just a really gravelly sounding bass. And again, really nice, but just not what, you know, not what I was looking for. The PV T45, which was the single pickup PV, I sold that off because as much as I like the T40s, the 2 pickup PVs, I just couldn't get a sound out of this one. So I did one video with it. I think I did an REM video, and that was it. And then sold it. And one thing I discovered is that I think I'm more partial to the simplicity of single pickup basses. So I thought that T45 was that might have been, you know, the top bass. Excuse me. I'm gonna have another sip. One else. And then there was the Wall. The Wall was my dream bass. And it was, you know, it was great while I had it. I did what I wanted to do with it, which was play all the kind of Wall era Rush stuff. But once I did that, it was just, you know, it sounded great on some stuff. Other stuff, it just sounded, you know, I don't know. I just didn't think it fit a lot of stuff. I like a bass with a strong voice, but the Wall was just a little overpowering for me. And what happened was, you know, I found myself stepping over it to pick up, you know, a bunch of other less expensive basses, and I just didn't see the point of having it just sit around. So I actually sold it back to Sean Salmon, who sold it. He sold it to me for an incredible price, and our agreement was if I ever sold it, I would sell it back to him. I'd give him the right of first refusal, which I did, and so it went back to him. And I was really cool. I'm not saying anything bad. They're incredible basses. They're, you know, nothing like them. Just wasn't for me in the end. What else? I wrote like a whole page on the wall. I don't need to do that. Wow, I wrote a whole bunch of stuff about the Wall. Some people might say about the Wall is, you know, it's got such a sophisticated EQ system, you can make it sound like anything you want. I'm not a big EQ, you know, guy. I really like a bass with a, you know, when I was playing the Wall, it was everything full up, and that's how I always set most of my basses. I don't like to mess with tones and stuff, and, you know, Wall had an insane EQ system, you know, frequency sweeps, because I'll never remember where I was, you know, and I don't want to be playing and say, oh, did I have this pot pulled last time and this pot, you know. Again, I like most everything I have is, you know, just plug in and play. Did I say, yeah, incredible basses, just, I'm not saying anything bad about them, just not for me. So I think that's about it. We came to a pretty abrupt stop there. Also, against my better judgment, I put a Facebook group page together that each video I do, I took some pictures of the basses. So I'll put a link to that Facebook thing. This, if anyone wants a closer look at some of the basses, I took a couple shots of each one. I'll put that link below. And I think that's it. Thanks a lot. Thanks for your patience and time. Talk to you later.